All right, got a 2004 Buick LeSabre. I'm going to show you how to change the inner tie rod. Go ahead and jack up your vehicle. Use the subframe to jack up the vehicle. Get a jack stand. Take off your tire and turn your wheel to the right so that you can expose your inner and outer tie rods. On this vehicle, we already have a brand new outer tie rod, but we don't have a new inner tie rod. So this is going to be taken off and kept nice, ideally, and then we're going to get this inner tie rod replaced. The inner and the outer tie rods work together to turn the wheel as you turn your steering wheel. They connect directly into your steering rack, which is connected to your steering column, which is the steering wheel. So as you turn your steering wheel, all those parts move together to move the wheel in and out based off of the input of your steering wheel. First step, I'm going to back out this cotter pin, take this castle nut off, and then pop up this outer tie rod. Got my 17 millimeter on. I'm going to go ahead and crack this castle nut loose and roll it right off. It's castle nut and a washer, so set those to the side. Keep those nice. I'm going to go ahead and break this up. Use a hammer, hit this knuckle, and try to loosen it up. Then give it a good whack. Okay, that doesn't seem to be pulling it loose. Let me get some penetrant oil. This is good stuff. All right, this inner tie rod's not coming up, so I'm going to use this tool. This is called a Pitman arm puller, and this is pretty cool. It just uses pressure to, as you twist this bolt up, it's going to apply downward pressure on the knuckle right here, and it's going to pop that right straight through. I don't want to use a pickle fork because I don't want to destroy this rubber boot. We just got this put on, and the shops, for the inspection to pass, they're saying we need to replace the inner tie rod as well. So I want to keep this nice so we don't have to replace it. So I'm just going to go ahead and keep twisting this up, and it's going to pop it right through. Looks like it worked. Sometimes it's not very eventful, and it just comes up nice and quiet. So that's precisely what just happened. Okay, I used some adjustable pliers, and I was able to break this nut right here off. So I'm going to go ahead and back that out a little bit, and we're going to start. And I'm going to twist this outer tie rod off. Count how many rotations. 20, 21. So 21 and a half is what I got here. Next step, I hope yours is as easy as mine right now. Go ahead and take this nut off of the inner tie rod. I have had situations where this is incredibly hard to take off, and you need to immobilize this inner tie rod from spinning by putting vice grips or a pipe wrench on here, and then using some kind of deep socket or something like that to take this off. Okay, so that's nice and easy. That's off. Next step, we're going to go ahead and remove the hose clamp right here. Okay, so I'm going to reach in and grab that hose clamp, take that off, and keep this safe. These things like to shoot off and go crazy, so careful not to get your finger caught up in that. There is a metal one-time use clip on the end of this boot, closer to the backside of the steering rack. So you need to put a long screwdriver, flathead, and break that off. I'm going to go ahead and do that now. It is what you see at the center of the screen. I'll show you what it looks like when it's off. After I hit it with my flathead and I bent it, it loosened it up and allowed me to pull this boot off. This is what it looks like. I'm going to go ahead and remove that. All right, and here is now what our inner tie rod looks like, connected into the steering rack with the boot removed. So I'm going to be replacing what's center of the screen. That's the end of the tie rod. And in fact, it looks like it's loose already. So I'm gonna go ahead and twist that off. That's no good that that's loose. Okay, so here is my tie rod, my inner tie rod. That's very odd that it was loose. I'm gonna get this cleaned up. Looks like it's a little bit dirty. Typically what you need to do in order to take off, this is most likely your situation, you're gonna need to get some kind of inner tie rod remover tool. I love this kind because it works every time, and you wrap it around, feed it through, and you tighten it on this point right here. It works really well for inner tie rods that look just like this that have no flat points. This is all smooth all the way around, so it's really hard to get friction and twist that thing off unless you have a tool like this. Pop in an extension on a wrench and then turn that sucker and it breaks it loose. So I'm gonna be using this to put on my new one. So let me get this cleaned up. Here's my replacement. Just gonna make sure, I'm gonna eyeball everything, make sure it's the same length as the one I took off. Okay, got the replacement on the left, old one on the right. Just gonna go ahead and do a visual inspection, make sure they are the same length. Looks like the threading is the same length. See if they're, looks like I have the two male ends. Sizing and threading look the same, and they look to be identical height. So perfect. Always spot check before you pop something on. Looks great. Okay, so next step is to hand tighten this into the screwing rack. Okay. I'm gonna set this off to the side. I'm gonna go ahead and open this up and put it on the end of that. All right, you can see that I now have this on tight. I went ahead and tightened those nuts right there. Next step is I have my extensions on a wrench. This is 3/8. I'm gonna go ahead and move this out of the way and then put the extension end on. And I know that I need to turn this clockwise. So the way that we do that, this tightens it. Notice as I push my wrench downward, it twists it clockwise. And this is gonna go ahead and lock it into place. I'm gonna go ahead and crank this with 2 hands, get it a little bit tighter. Okay, that's on nice and tight. I'm gonna go ahead and remove this tool now. I'm gonna put my 14mm on the end there. Okay, that's on nice and tight. Next step, gotta get that boot back on. So I'm gonna go ahead and wind that through. I am underneath the car looking up at the end of the boot, and you can see that this rubber boot will connect onto the steering rack cover just like this, and then there's a band right here. Remember that metal one-time use band that was right there? I'm going to replace that with a zip tie temporarily until my metal clips come in. All right, and I got that clip on right here, nice and tight. Cut the extra off. This is gonna hold tight until a couple weeks. I have metal clips that are coming in. If you need to use a plastic zip tie temporarily, that's okay, but remember, plastic gets brittle and breaks, and this is a component that will fail over time if you don't replace that zip tie. So this is gonna be exposed to a lot of heat. All right, now time to get back to the other side. Okay, got that back on with the needle nose pliers. I'm gonna go ahead and get ready to put this outer tie rod back on. All right, mine was 21.5, so I got that back. Put the nut, tighten that up. I'm gonna go ahead and put it through the knuckle now. I'm gonna use my adjustable wrench to tighten this up a little bit tighter than that. You'll notice that a castle nut has these little viewpoints through each side, and then inside of this outer tie rod has a hole where you put your cotter pin through. So you have to make sure that when you stop, you line the two together so your cotter pin can go through pretty easily. So I got my 17mm. Gonna go ahead and tighten that back up. Okay, got that nice and tight, and then I got the cotter pin through. Gonna get this tire back on, and we're good to go. I hope that video was helpful for you. Thank you for watching. Good luck on your project.